What's up, guys? I'm a little cold. It's a little cold here, so I got the big jacket on because I came outside to meditate. So when you're calming your body down, it kind of drops in temperature, I'd say. At least for me, I don't know. So I need like a bigger jacket. Even the slightest wind will make me be cold. But I do enjoy meditating out here. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about the trap of good and bad, of duality, quotations. Now, duality naturally exists throughout the universe in the form of chaos and order. But then we got pretty much secret societies trying to play God here, trying to orchestrate chaos on Earth, and then give us what they deem as order, right? It's called a Hegelian dialectic. I'm not sure exactly the name, I guess, or how to say it, but you know what I mean if you've heard of it. And that's where they orchestrate the problem to give you the solution. So they create a problem, they create chaos, and out of that chaos they create order, and the solution is what they wanted all along, right? So that's the duality that we live in the fear-based matrix that we've accepted basically on this earth, right? So then they give us these ideas of what's good and what's bad, right? With good and evil, either you're good, or if you're not good, you're bad, right? But those are just relative perspectives, and it can be a trap, really, because if you're constantly fighting something, then you're really allocating for separation. So what really exists is love and lack of love, unity and lack of unity, right? So there are two types of consciousness, and that's unity consciousness and separation consciousness. So if you align with separation consciousness, you're going to align with fear, right? You don't want to follow the rules, or quote unquote rules, the laws of the universe, basically, which are laid upon love and respecting others' free will. So when you're in fear, when you're angry, you're going to violate other people's free will, and that's a negative polarity, and that's allowed by God, but obviously it won't have as much power in the universe because the good will always triumph, right? God made this game in which the good always wins. God always wins. You can't beat God at its own game, basically, because when you're in that fear state, you're not connected to God anymore, and you need power from outside of yourself. Okay. So, and then when you subscribe to unity consciousness, you see everything as a part of yourself, everything as connected. You see God and everything else. And first of all, seeing it in yourself, you see yourself as connected to Source. In line with that premise, then that means you naturally would have to see even the quote-unquote evil as a part of yourself, right? And that's actually incredibly difficult to do when you've been programmed to believe certain things for so long. But in order to really align with that unity consciousness and to wish love for everything, to love unconditionally, you have to love thy neighbor, no matter if they are good or evil. That does not mean oh, God bless. Does not mean tolerate any negativities bestowed upon you. You don't have to accept that the neighbor throws trash in your front yard, but you can see that neighbor as an aspect of yourself, maybe a previous aspect of yourself in which you may have done those things, and you may have needed some sort of healing or some sort of extra love to realize that those things not only hurt others but yourself as well. Okay, so it's those people that are in that state of quote-unquote evil that need love the most, because they have separated so far from it that they've lost connection to their own sense of love, their own sense of self. And that's where we get to this trap of love, or good and evil, of subscribing to that mentality, is that I can label something you may perceive as good as evil, and you can label something you may perceive as good as or as evil as good. and then it just becomes an infinite loop in which you're constantly reincarnating into 3D until you figure this out and you learn to accept all perspectives. That's how you tap into your multidimensionality. You accept all perspectives. You understand all perspectives. You can see it from a higher vantage point. Okay? And really, that's pretty important in this ascension process, because it's not about choosing between good and bad, what we deem as justice, and getting revenge on the evil and killing off all the evil. It's not about that. It's about choosing love, choosing unity. And unity implies having mercy on those people that may have done evil, and rather than jailing them or executing them like we do in today's society, rehabilitating them, or acting in the most loving way possible towards them, in which we offer them the chance to change their ways, to return to source, return to God. And for some souls it just isn't possible, and even God understands this. God knows everything. They're sent to the grand central sun or to wherever, and their soul is basically reset to re-experience evolution. Okay, so they'll go through the process of densities and going through them all again, to the point where they get to the 3D again. They're faced with this choice, and they begin to learn the things they have done. But it's possible to go from 3rd density to 4th density negative, and then 5th density negative, and become this whole source of negativity. But you can't go farther than that. That's where the game ends, really, for negativity, because you only can gain so much power. You can only do so many things. And if you believe yourself arrogant enough to think that you are some sort of God yourself, not in the sense that you're connected to God and have the same powers or same abilities to co-create with God, but in the sense that you are your own God, separate from God, and can do whatever you want without regard to anyone else. In that sense, you're more than likely eventually be wiped out completely and reset. But that's basically the trap, is realizing good is evil and evil is good, and there's good in evil and evil in good, and that's what this duality and yin yang is all about. There's yin and the yang, and there's yang and the yin. So in order to rise above that, you have to see the whole picture. You can't just see the yin and the yang separately. Okay, that's what makes the painting so beautiful. It's the combination of both, and that's this life that we currently live in, and that's okay. And like I said, balance exists at higher levels in terms of destruction and rebirth, because that's literally how a star is made, and how this galaxy and the universe and everything else is made, out of destruction and out of rebirth. And it's a never-ending cycle. And so within, so without. So basically there's balance in that, but not necessarily with quote-unquote good and evil. That's more of a mental trap that we've been programmed to believe. Okay, so try and notice those examples in your life where you are stern on the belief that something is good and something may be evil or nefarious and not good for you, and try to approach it more lovingly, right? It is, because in the book In Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, where he's directly talking to Source claims that good and evil really don't exist, or good and bad don't exist. It's merely in terms of functional and not functional. Is this what I want? Is this desire or this action I'm taking toward desire in line with this desire, right? So if I desire to be more loving, would impeding on someone else's free will be loving? No, right? If I want to be very evil, yes, it'd be very good towards my desire. It'd be actionable towards my desire. It would help me pursue that path, yes, completely. But you have to understand, everyone chooses their own path. So your soul may be more lined up with certain aspects, but that's what this whole 3D reality is about. Do you want to continue this endless pursuit of competition, suffering, and egoic desires, or do you want to be at inner peace and enjoy incredible relationships with yourself, God, and others, and manifest all your desires like you're meant to as a co-creator? right? So just something to think about. Enjoy your day, get out in nature, connect with your higher self, or don't, whatever you want. Take care.